I'm Peace Emmanuel from Zenith University. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
Hi, my name is Stephen Meyer from Radford University College. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
Hello, my name is Harriet, a student of the University of Ghana. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
Hello, my name is Mia Jubaini from University of Professional Studies. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
It's Fuse! Yes, it's your boy Fuse ODG, and you are now tuned into Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth, because you know they're spreading the best message for the world. Let's go!
Hello viewers, welcome to this week's edition of Xlive. My name is Kwame Owusudas, and of course you know Xlive is the best youth entrepreneurial show in Africa. Today we're going to be talking to one fine gentleman, a person who is doing well for the youth. He has a foundation, he's the CEO of a foundation that is overseeing to the well-being of a lot of the youth out there. He's traveled the length and breadth of Africa. He's been out there, he's experienced it all, and we're going to be finding out from him why he decided to set up this foundation. The guest that I'll be talking to today is Seth Oteng, who is the CEO of Youth Bridge Foundation. But before we delve into the discussions, I'm going for a quick breather. When I come back, Xlive continues.
I'm Jifa Kuativo. Keep on watching Xlive with Kwame Danso. See ya.
Welcome back from that quick commercial break. If you just tuned in, you're watching Xlive with me, Kwame Owusudas. So now, before the break, I was telling you about a fine gentleman that I'll be speaking to right here on Xlive. One who is making the youth proud, even though he's a bit, but he's doing a lot more for the youth out there in terms of empowering the youth, in terms of developing the younger guys out there. He is Seth Oteng. Seth, welcome to Xlive.
Thank you very much.
Very well.
Yes.
You're doing fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it.
Right, now let's talk about your foundation. First and foremost, we want to understand the brain behind the setting up of the foundation.
Thanks. That's always been a question that comes up. You know, just as we have the name, the Youth Bridge Foundation,
Right.
Clearly it shows that there is a gap that needs to be bridged, or there was a gap that needed to be bridged. And that's how come the Youth Bridge Foundation was initially conceptualized.
What would you define as a gap, that you needed to bridge? Which areas, did you identify as the youth having, or being deficient in that regard?
Okay, let me start from when I got back to Ghana after Globetrotting. I had a privilege of sitting on some interview panels where we're doing recruitment, involved in recruitment. Had pleasant, beautiful written CVs. Had people at the interview, and you realize that they were not ready for the job market. I'm talking about 15 years back. They were not ready for the job market. You delve a bit deeper to find out their understanding of the world of work. And you realize that there was a big disconnect between the student life and the world of work. That was the first gap I saw, that the preparedness of the youthful generation for the world of work was inadequate. That was one. The second one was the illiterate youth who possibly might have dropped out of school. Their hopes realized that it's kind of dimmed and dashed. And I realized there was a gap of giving them a second window, helping them move a bit further. That was one gap. Then the third gap I realized was our politicians, governments, making promises and statements on various platforms, on international platforms like UN platforms, and no one holds them accountable for the very promises they make, especially towards the youth. And I think the media, I would say, I saw did well and still doing very well, hold it, but only for a brief moment. When the budget is going to be read, you hear the media houses focusing all attention on the budget. Once that is gone, that's it. Of course. And so there was the gap of holding governments accountable for the very promises they make towards youth development. I think this was a gap I saw that needed to be bridged, and thought of having a few guys coming together, those who are passionate about youth development, and we make our modest contribution towards bridging the gap.
Very well. Now you've spelled out clearly what you saw at the time, as a gap in your own definition, which for you was very detrimental to the development of the average Ghanaian out there. Now I want to understand, how you were able to, as it were, put all those gaps that you identified at the time together, okay, to inform your decision to want to form the foundation. How were you able to set up the foundation? How difficult was it for you at the time, given the fact that you were very new in the country at the time? So how was it? How were you able to put all those ideas together to be able to form the foundation?
That's a brilliant question, and it's something that if someone wants to be an entrepreneur and intends or have the passion to be, you're not careful of your gaps, your steps, you might just die off quickly before the joke I already often say is that by the time you realize you are dead and you've been buried, you realize you're dead and you've been buried. It was critical for me to recognize the fact that I was new in Ghana.
Right.
And there was the need to understudy those who were already in the system. I identified a gap. I had a passion to bridge the gap. But the people who understood the terrain better, I needed to be closer to them. There were organizations, foundations, or think tanks that were committed, for instance, towards youth development or towards governance. I needed to get closer and understudy them and learn from them. So doing, you learn and you get yourself mature. You don't just jump and assume you come from outside and all of a sudden you have all the solutions for Ghana's or Africa's problems. That was not going to be possible. I think for me, that was the nugget.
Okay.
Understanding those who are in the system and of course complementing the ideas by saying that keeping focus and making sure that we don't settle for mediocrity and making sure we graduate from one level to the other. When I needed an office, I didn't think of having a huge mansion, which we are privileged to have at the moment, but start from someone's voice quarters. Had a whole team. I had foreign development partners, held a meeting right at the office. Coming from out of the country, and we hold the meetings at the office where they were sweating as I was because there was no air conditioning. And for me, it was to demonstrate that we needed to take one step at a time. Like the child learns how to walk, cross, walk, run, and eventually gets old and start working with a walking stick. So that was critical.
Well, that's critical. I certainly agree with you on that. Now, let me go for a quick commercial. But when I come back, we would want to find out more about what you're talking about. Because if you just tuned in, you're watching Xlive with me, Kwame Usudanso, and I've been talking to Seth Oteng, who is the CEO of Youth Bridge Foundation, and we're discussing youth entrepreneurship and development. Okay, so we're going for a quick break. When we come back, the discussion continues.
Hello, I'm Peace Emmanuel from Zenith University. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
Hi, my name is Steven Meyer from Radford University College. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
Hello, my name is Harriet, a student of the University of Ghana. Keep watching Xlive, the mouthpiece for the youth.
Welcome back. So you're still watching Xlive with me, Kwame Usudanso, and we're talking to Seth Oteng, and we're having a wonderful discussion right here. Now we are having this, interview from Sonant Court Hotel inside Xlegon. I love the hotel, beautiful place. You need to come and check it out. Yeah, the poolside is amazing. I actually wanted to swim, but not in this suit. But you were telling us about some challenges. I mean, of course, that you have before we went from break. Can you continue with that?
Okay, thanks. I was talking about the long-term marginalization of the African youth or the Ghanaian youth, which is enshrined in our culture. Children are to be seen and not to be heard. Others will say children are to be heard and not to be seen. For me, both sides works in the sense that you can be seen at the meeting, but your contribution does not matter. It's minimal. On the other side, you have to stay outside, don't come near when we are having a discussion. So what happens then is that the young people are not given that room as compared to those outside to challenge authority, to challenge decisions of parents or the elderly, even teachers. So they grow up, and when they come to the corporate world, timid. That is the challenge. Now, this is also the result because they are unable to ask the questions that are salient for their own development. They also find themselves in the situation where they are not able to explore risk, to acquire adventure, acquire further knowledge, or to challenge government, hold government accountable for the various promises that were made unto them. They are not able because of this timidity. Now, invariably, their capacity to engage at that old age becomes weak. So you have a situation where the youthful generation do not understand the governance, the policies of government, or the things that concern their own well-being. So you would have someone deciding for the youth what concerns their own development because their capacity is weak. So this, for me, is the entry point where if we are to address youth issues, it's a call on everyone to build the capacity.
Corollary to what you're talking about would
Yes.
be finding out answers to alleviate the issue of timidity.
Precisely.
It is, as it were, a part of our culture. Our socialization process is such that, you know, if a child begins to be curious, you know, the child is disrespectful.
Disrespectful?
You know, so how do we get that out of our system? Because, like you're saying, if the point that, you know, my understanding of what you're saying is that until and unless we are able to solve these minor issues, okay, there are going to be a lot more issues for you to deal with when they eventually grow up. So how do we get that out of?
You know, what we have done is first let the youth understand that, you know, on the other side, look at it, governments put themselves out as being youth friendly, and they profess that they care about the youth. So what we do is to tell the youth, wait a minute, successive governments have said they care about youth. So take that promise and hold government accountable. Let them understand, build their capacity. Let them understand that these are the issues, these are the promises that were made. So simply go to the table, listen to them. You said A, B, C, and D. And what that means is that unless we build the capacity of the youth to understand and to have that meaningful engagement, they'll get to the table and they'll have nothing to say and they'll forever remain tepid.
Government. Let me find out. Do you work with the government or any government for that matter?
We work across Africa. So even in Ghana, successive governments we work with the parliament. Okay. That's an important arm of government.
A follow-up to that question is, you live in Ghana, obviously you've heard about the youth enterprise support systems and all the youthful interventions that the government is trying to introduce or has introduced. You are asking the youth to hold the government accountable. But before you can hold somebody accountable, you need to have a certain prowess. You think that the Ghanaian youth, okay, has that power to hold any government accountable? In any case, you think that the governmental interventions in terms of youth development and capacity has been able to live up to its expectation?
I would say it is making some contribution, but possibly not adequate to address the issue.
So how would the youth, demand?
There must be a long-term national development agenda. For me, that is the way forward. It's more like an ad hoc. Let's get something underway to address youth unemployment. Precisely. You know, so you have this leap, you have this, you have that, various programs that are duplicated, not consolidated. Let's have a national development agenda. So this is the state of the economy. This is where we want to see the youth of Ghana, the youth of Africa in the next 15, 20 years. Work towards that. Look through our national budgets that are read. You should see a trend that says that government's financing of, for instance, the ICT, there's a progression, not a regression.
You're looking at it as though we're trailing when it comes to policies for the youth.
Unless it's anchored in a broad, long-term national development agenda.
With training.
Exactly.
Right.
And you look at the national budgets, commitments for youth development scattered all over. It's good. But the question is that the National Youth Development Plan, the National Youth Policy, recently an action plan has been launched, but budgetary allocation is missing. Now that was, for instance, read after the 2015 budget was read. So it's okay. Efforts are being made. It will short-term address unemployment, give people the skills to fix phones in the next 3 years. The white man will come up with new technology. The phones that they are repairing, it's outmoded. Give them the hairdressing. How many hairdressers or how many dressmakers do we need maybe in the village? Go to me chalk. So the issue is that let's have a long-term development plan. There are countries, examples like Rwanda, India, they had that agenda. They would like to make the youth, everyone computer literate over a period of time. Work towards it, made the required investment into that. And that is where they are at the moment. Okay. So let's have a national plan. So this is where we want to see the youth of Ghana in the next 10, 15 years. Otherwise, all this, the youth enterprise support program has just been changed to year.
Yeah. It's still on the floor of Parliament,
Precisely. So that's, for me, we have to look at it from a bipartisan approach, bring it to the National Development Planning Commission, must be properly, resourced to look at it, develop that, enshrine that, and every political party that wins power sticks to that national development plan.
What is your foundation doing about this? What have you been able to do? You've been around for like 5 years, I think, and you're still growing stronger and stronger.
Yes.
What have you been able to do in terms of development, for the youth?
I would say that we have addressed the issue of the capacity of the youth.
Okay.
That's the entry. Without knowing why you need to engage, understanding the need to engage, and knowing that there are policies that exist that have been made and promises made in your own interest, and brother, you can go anywhere. Right. So we have worked extensively addressing the demand side. In accountability, you have the demand and the supply side. If the demand side is weak, whatever comes from the supply side is taken because the demand side is weak. So we have worked extensively on the demands of building the capacity of youth to understand the 10 regions of Ghana, the composite budget, community level, understand the budget planning processes, make sure they make input into it, they can ask questions. We've sought platform for dialogue, exchange with the district assemblies to let them understand that they are there to serve them, and there shouldn't be that the concurrence, the German would say,
right.
The competition between them. So we work extensively on that front. Yes.
Of course, the Kofi Annan, one was held at the Kofi
The African Youth and Governance Conference,
well.
yes.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Very successful. Now, I'm told on good authority that you're going to have one in South Africa and East Africa, and then, you travel around the world. Can you just brief me on that?
The conference was held, the first time in 2009. Successfully over 5 years was held in Ghana. We needed to consolidate the gains. It brought together about 35 youth from an average of 35 countries, 250 youth from 35 African countries and African diaspora, the US, Europe, and Central Europe. We thought of having consolidated that over the 5 years. It was time then to move it up, to have that international flair that was necessary to govern it. We started continent. So we moved out of Ghana. For the first time last year, we were in Zambia. The first stop was in Zambia because we wanted to give respect to the only surviving founding father of Africa, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. This year it will be in South Africa. So that'll be 2 years in the southern part of Africa. Then 2016, we moved to the Eastern Africa, do another 2 years, then move to the Central African province. Let me say that when it was held in Ghana, we had majority of the delegates coming from West Africa, with sport participants from Southern, because they had to finance their own travel. Right. So majority came from West Africa. When we reversed and moved it to we moved it to Southern Africa. Majority of the delegates came from Southern Africa. Move it to East Africa. Majority of the delegates will come from. Then you have a dream. We've had delegates who have participated since 2009. Now these are people who meet each year. Imagine in the next 5-10 years, there are ministers of states from all across Africa meeting each other. Fantastic.
Bridge Foundation. How do I become a delegate?
You go online, visit our website, and the www.ubridgefoundation.org. You have the opportunity to register with the Youth Bridge Alliance. Youth all across Africa are members of it. Register, be part of it, be participating.
Registration happening?
The registration is opening tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah, we've delayed it because, let me tell you, the interest is so high. We are limiting participation. You know, it used to be 250 delegates.
Right.
Per conference. We are limiting it to 250 because last year we realized that we had fewer numbers, but the fewer numbers we had enriched the debate that we had. So I think we've resolved we're going to limit participation to just 150 across Africa. We'll be launching it also in Hamilton to be hosted by the first black mayor of Hamilton, Canada. It will be launched in Hamilton, Canada to reach out to the North African diaspora.
Definitely, I trust that our cameras will be there to capture it live. For our
Most welcome,
because,
exactly.
We're standing for the youth. We're the mouthpiece.
Yes, precisely.
Let me say a big thank you to you for speaking to us on Xlive, Seth.
It's
we
a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Right. Viewers, will be speaking to Seth Oteng, who is the CEO of Youth Bridge Foundation, and I'm sure that you've learned a lot. I've also learned a lot. And make sure that you empower yourselves. Make sure that you develop your potentials. Make sure that you create avenues for yourself and build a lot of partnerships so that you can be very, very successful. My name is Kwame Owusu. So, and don't forget, this interview was held at Sonant Court Hotel in Xlive. All right. You can follow me on Instagram at Kwame Owusu. You can follow me on Facebook, Kwame Owusu, and on LinkedIn, Kwame Owusu. See you same time next week. I'm out.
Show love and respect to your brother, man.